Hey everybody, Vaughn here with the Vonster vlog. Hopefully the mic isn't like freaking out too much. Yesterday's video we had some more hiccups there at the beginning. I'm trying to troubleshoot today. I'm actually recording with my phone that I use as my camera in airplane mode because I think it's every time I get like an email or like incoming signal that it like complicates and makes the crackly noise. I hope that's all that it is, but we'll see. So, oh, we're actually going to be starting out in mountain pose today. Oh, it's been a long day and I'm feeling a little bit frazzled, but that's why we practice yoga, is to practice shedding all of that, almost shedding our skin every day, just sloughing it off. So, as we come here onto our mat today, I want to thank you guys for joining me on this year of yoga journey. I am so excited and I cannot even begin to believe that like we're actually doing it. First off, we have a long way ahead of us, but we're getting there one day at a time, and that's what it takes. Because these days would be trickling by like grains in the hourglass, grains of sand in the hourglass, whether we were doing yoga or not. And I'd rather, if that little grain of sand tinkles down, I'd rather have the imprint of having done yoga or having had done something to give me hope and courage and joy for in my future than to just be like, meh, more sand. So make each grain that passes through that hourglass just as special and sacred as possible. So with that in mind, I'm going to try to focus on just like gratitude and cherishing where I'm at right in this moment. So as we breathe in and exhale, let's spread our roots down into the ground through the corners of our feet. So you can wiggle and squeeze your toes a little bit. Inhale, bring that awareness up to your knees, to your thighs. Maybe doing a couple of tight little hip circles. Just bring in almost like you're hula hooping, or whatever kind of visualization helps, and you can change directions. Just really get some wiggle into that hips, kind of get the awareness. You can even, feel free, it's your body. Touch it, man. Like, feel free to touch and bring awareness up and through. As we inhale and exhale, fold over into a forward fold, and we could have our blocks here in front of us to bring the ground up to our hands so that we can get a little bit deeper into that hamstring stretch. Ooh. And I'm just rocking back and forth here. Wiggling my head side to side. Inhaling up. Exhaling back down. Maybe lower the blocks a bit. Let's bring that ground up to you a little bit further. And as we scoot the blocks out of the way and walk our fingertips down the mat until we bring our knees down into tabletop. It's actually a little bit easier. As much as I love doing yoga outside, it is so much easier for me to focus on what's happening when I'm not being sacrificed to the mosquitoes. So it's really nice to have the option to either practice outside or inside. So as we come into tabletop, I'm actually going to move my wrists directly below my shoulders just to see how that feels, and have my knees directly under my hips. Though, to be fair, my knees are a little bit wider than my hips, but for my body that works. Inhaling and exhaling. We can actually practice bringing our shoulder blades together, like really sinking our chest towards the ground, and then pushing the ground away from ourselves, like we're almost in the top of cat, just really opening between those shoulder blades, and experience that extreme between those two positions, and find a place that's balanced between the two extremes of just not quite neutral, but I mean, we're engaged, but it's like a spring coiled and ready to launch into movement. So that energy right before the little cat's butt wiggle before it pounces, like that's the energy that we're wanting in our muscles in tabletop. And we can do that same thing with the anterior and posterior tilts of our pelvis. So we can curl it under, tucking our tailbone, and then also point that tailbone to the sky, just rotating and experiencing those two extremes before we find that position of neutral engagement. Bringing our navel then into our spine, like we're not sucking in our diaphragm or clenching our abs, we're just engaging it, getting it ready for sudden movement. Spend a moment here, pardon me, or we will inhale up into cow, bringing our tailbone and the top of our head towards the sky. And then exhaling, rounding our body through. And I do like to take a nice deep breath here in cat before scooping through into cow pose. And let's try to move with our breath today. So inhale, scooping up and through, and then exhaling, wringing those last bits of breath out of our lungs before bringing all that fresh air back into our lungs, filling them as much as we can, and then bringing in just a little bit more before squeezing them out. That's good stuff, y'all. Okay, now from here, I am going to bring my knees closer together. I guess this is more actually under my hips. And I am going to begin practicing. I'm going to scooch forward a bit because I don't want to be kicking anything. Into bird dog with a crunch. So we'll inhale, bringing our left arm and our right leg to an extended position but still touching the ground. And then exhale, lift them up as though we are in one straight line from the tips of our fingers to the tips of our toes. You can even wiggle them for a sec. Inhale and exhale, really crunch that down. Inhale, extension. Exhale, contraction. This is very challenging for me to balance without crashing too much into my knee or too much into my wrist. But it's really nice to have something be so challenging and to rise to that opportunity. And still tackle it and to do it. I'm a little stiff and sore, but you could have folded mats or more blankets under your knees or under your wrists, or have a block to have your hand up on. Just whatever kind of accommodations make this easier for you. Okay. Kind of mustering and gathering my will to get me through another 5 repetitions on the other side, but we can do this, you guys. So we'll inhale, bringing our arm and our leg out to an extended position, but still touching the ground. And exhale, as though we are a long pole, be extended from our fingertips to our toes. Inhale and exhale, contracting down. I've never once in my life been able to get my knee and my elbow to touch, not even when I was in high school. But it's not about, the final position of the pose. It's about what you're getting out of it. You don't have to be looking like a professional yogi on a magazine cover to be getting your most out of yoga. If you're building strength, if you're building your balance, if you're carving the path to your inner peace, then I don't know, those are the things I'm looking for. So as long as you're finding what you're looking for, then you're doing it right. Okay, taking just a moment, I'm going to sit back on my feet. Oh my goodness. Whew. We did it! I mean, we're only like halfway done, but we did the first half, and that's really, really good. Whew. So from here, to actually, I'm sneaking in an extra pose today. It's not on my little list that I've got on a sticky note over here. I'm clenching my hands behind my back, like interlacing them, and then kind of just scooching them down as I lift up and through, as though I've been hooked on my sternum and it's being lifted up and out. So again, interlacing, kind of just sliding my knuckles down my back. And this is really, and we can try to like rotate our elbows towards each other to get an even deeper stretch. We could even have it with our elbows bent like this. That actually deepens the stretch all down the front of my deltoids and biceps on my upper arms. Right on. Oh, so tight, but that's good. We're doing it. We're doing the things. So from here, I'm placing my hands just a little farther forward from my shoulders. I'm going to extend my right leg out into position. Inhale and exhale into plank. Taking as even and controlled of breaths as possible. Really pushing through the ground as though we're holding it up away from us as opposed to holding ourselves up away from it. Grounding just as much through my feet as through my hands. I'm really shaking now. One more breath, you guys. Oh, there we go. Oh, goodness. Oh, yeah. I'm pushing back into child's pose, like half child's pose, just for a second, before coming back up into downward facing dog. Oh, my goodness. Oh, wow. That was... Sorry, I'm like out of breath and my heart's pounding and I'm like sweating and stuff, so... Finding ease and balance in our breath. Trying to observe without judgment. It's okay if your heart's pounding and you're out of breath. What an amazing opportunity this is to be alive. And from here, we'll return to a plank position, lower our knees, and slowly lower down. And I'm just going to stack my fists and rest my head for a moment. And from here, I'm going to bring my hands to just a little below and in front of my shoulders. And then lifting with my back. Without the insistence of my hands at first, I'm going to lift as much as I can and then assist with my arms. But still, it's like even if we let go, I'd want those muscles to still be engaged. It's very challenging, by the way. Like all of this is like, wow, so challenging. But I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. Growing out of the top of our head as we dance with our breath. Just pulling it in, letting it swirl around before letting it out. Going a little deeper before relaxing down. And I'm tucking my toes under and pushing up and back. I'm going to walk my knees, crawling forward just a little bit, cross at my ankles before rolling back. Gosh. I don't know, I really enjoy the contrast as much as I love a peaceful lake, like, to internally be just in a state of peace. Sometimes it's so nice to just go through and splash a bunch and get it muddy and just really just have a good old ruckus, um, which in this metaphor would be, our hearts pounding, our sweat, just blood flowing, so that we can then watch the waves and watch them settle back down into a peaceful, serene lake. So there's a big difference. Sometimes inside a serene, stable, glassy topped lake can feel like stagnation. It can feel like just nothing's happening. But if you add in some turmoil, some stir it up, get that heart pounding, then suddenly it's so nice to have the water be peaceful again and to come back to a place of peace after being, riled up. But I don't know, that's just my thoughts on it today, and that's kind of how I'm experiencing it, is to just really be just caught up in this post effort elation. So I'm bringing my feet together, the soles of my feet together in front of me. Let's give them a clap. Oh, I hit the bench behind me. I'm going to do it again. There we go. Ugh. It's just, there's no other time in my day that happens. So it's nice to just do something different and weird from what my body's used to, because it makes my muscles and my nerves and everything be like, what's happening? What? Guys, why is this happening? So, and again, I like to just, a little bit of chaos, mix it up on everybody, mostly myself. So we're going to inhale and breathe out some of that chaos and let the lake water settle, just peaceful and serene. Inhaling and when you're ready, start visualizing and feeling that growth of up and out as we hinge forward at our hips, maybe doing a little bit of a wiggle from side to side. Warm up that stiff taffy that is my lower back, and just start kind of almost feel like a Komodo dragon. Komodo dragon, not kimono dragon. That's in my head it was just a dragon wearing a kimono, but it's just that kind of lizard walk of alternate, like really stretching out my obliques and both sides of down my spine. And then come here to a moment of stillness, and we could even use our blocks to bring the ground up to us and just rest our forearms, maybe wiggle our toes here on top of the blocks. And we could even possibly inch them forward to have our arms extended in front of us, really help open that heart and radiate out. We're finding a fullness and ease in our breath. Maybe stepping the blocks a little lower. And sometimes honor your body. I know I say that a lot, but I mean it more than anything. Like, you've got to listen to your body and what's going on. But sometimes I like to pull the taffy. I do not recommend doing this if you're fixing to go like lift a bunch of stuff or like put effort and exertion on your lower back. Just because I think dynamic stretching is more important prior to exercising and being active, but I do like this as an end of the day thing. So I actually have this lip. This bottom mat of mine is like half an inch thick or so, and it behaves a little bit like a lip that I can stack my blocks against. So I actually have 2 blocks stacked end to end here in front of my leg and my legs, and that gives me something that I can kind of grip and resist against. You could also use, like, sometimes I've had Randy stand in front of me and I'll like grab on to like he'll be facing that away, and I'll grab onto the front of his shins and just like kind of pull. But don't use like, a bookcase or something that might fall over on you. Really, really stretching, and I like having something that I can kind of pull against while still radiating up and out. We're going to take just a few more breaths here. And if you want it just a little bit lower, you can actually lay the blocks on their backs and reach into that as well. And from here, I'm going to kind of walk my fingertips up and then raise up nice and straight. And we're going to do just a couple of neck rolls. And I'm just going to roll from one side and then to the other. Around through the front. And you could, if you want to make this a little bit more of a deeper stretch, I like to kind of sit on my hands a little bit. And that gives me an even deeper stretch up into my neck. Or you could hold on to your shins and bend your elbows. Or even just engaging, pulling your shoulders down can really add in some nice resistance and kind of get deeper into that stretch. Do a couple of full neck circles before we start getting into a side bend, which I'm going to hold onto my left ankle with my right hand here in cobbler's pose, and then lifting up through my chest because I got a cramp. Ooh wee. I want to make space. I don't want to just be hunching over, because clearly that's what I tend to do. And so if I do something else, my muscles are like, hold up, Missy, just rushing into this side bend. So if you make a little bit of space first, it might get your muscles to participate. Lifting and extending over. Oh my goodness. This is so good I can't even talk. Words aren't coming out right. What on earth is gushness? I like it though. Inhale and exhale. And then we can raise up. Change hand and ankle. Lift. Just lifting again as though I'm being lifted through my sternum. And coming over. And I do like to rotate so that I can see the sky or the ceiling or whatever's above me. And then coming up and out of it. And I'm actually going to scooch these blocks out of the way, because now I'd like to extend and then come through the middle and lift. And then come through the middle and lift. I like to exhale as I circle through, running my fingers over the carpet, or like sometimes you can pretend that you're pulling them through sand or just skimming them over the surface of some water. And last one. We come back up here to center. And we can take just a few moments you could visualize as you breathe. Maybe the waves on the choppy waters kind of leveling out into a very peaceful, serene, mirror-like finish on the water. Just stillness. Or if you rather, it could be a breezy meadow with tall grasses and wildflowers swaying in the breeze. And you can visualize them swaying, maybe just being blown very hard in one direction. I know life can feel like that sometimes. Just incessant, endless pressure. But through your breath, visualize and experience a gentling of the breeze, an easing of the waves. And let your winds become calm. let your waters be still. Thank you guys so much for joining me here today. I've had a really amazing time, and I'm really glad to have shared it with you. Let me know down in the comments how you're doing, what you've been up to, maybe what poses you're working on or would like to be working on. Like, are you feeling super tight through your hips? Do you need to focus more on balance? Because I'd really like to, again, and I've said this before, but I am not a trained yoga teacher, though I hope to be one day. And I think I learn best by not just experiencing my own limitations and experience, but hearing from you guys as well in what you're going through, and kind of maybe, I can learn things that I would have never thought to have looked up, by hearing about what you're going through, as opposed to, if I'm limited by my own experience, then who knows? Like, there's so much I'm missing out on, and y'all are the key to expanding my mind. So, and learning as much as I absolutely can about this, and I'm very excited about that. So, thank you guys again so much for being here and being on this journey with me. And I'm going to go probably make dinner. It's really late in the day. Oops, it's like 10:30. Oh no. Yay for night owls. Okay. Thank you guys so much. Again, that's like I'm super grateful though. So I will see y'all next time, and until then, keep on keeping on. Bye guys.